All right, guys, so lesson one of the squat, okay? Whenever we teach the squat, we always want to focus from the ground up, okay? Our feet are our base, that's where all the stability is going to come from. So if we have an issue down there, then there's probably going to be an issue somewhere up the chain, okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about today is going to be our stance and what we're doing with our feet. So in order to get a better feel for our feet, we are going to kick our shoes off, okay? So if you work out in a gym where you can safely take your shoes off, highly recommend it. It's going to allow you to get a much better feel with your feet into the ground, and you're going to be able to kind of see and feel all the things we're talking about. If you don't have that available, it's totally fine to grab just some like flat minimalist shoes are ideal, like Converse or something like that, okay? To get us started, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set our feet about hip to shoulder width, and I want you to let your toes have a slight angle out, okay? Depending on your restrictions or any kind of background or pain and whatnot, we might adjust this stance. So this is going to be your starting position, and your goal is to listen to your body, and we'll tweak from there, okay? So now, I have my feet set, my toes are angled out just slightly, and before I move at all, we're going to think about, like I said, the base, right? If I have any of this movement here, you see how everything up the chain is going to move, we're going to run into problems. So, with our feet, I want you to think about 3 points of contact, okay? We're talking about the base of the big toe, that's going to be point 1, the base of the pinky toe is going to be point 2, and then that middle of the heel, that is going to be the third point. Throughout your entire movement, I never want you to lose contact with or pressure in any of those spaces. So it's common if we see ourselves come out, we lose the inside of the foot, we're going to lose stability. Just like if we let our knees cave and our foot rolls in, we're going to lose that stability. So no matter what, your base starts down below, and as you work on your squat, all I want you to care about in the beginning is, am I consistently feeling my heel, my pinky toe, and my big toe stable into the ground the entire time that I move? If while you're going through the squat, you're kind of feeling restricted in your position, I'm going to let you just play with it for now, adjust your stance until you feel comfortable that you can maintain that consistent foot position throughout your squat. Okay, that's lesson number 1. Okay, lesson number 2 on the squat. We're talking about using a box. Okay? There's a lot of reasons to use the box, but primarily it's going to be either to control the range of motion. So if you have a restriction in your mobility that doesn't allow you to get all the way down, cool. Now we can train to a consistent depth in an area where you can actually control it so you don't get hurt, and then we'll progress as you get better. And number 2 is using a box actually allows us to focus by sitting back a little bit more and allow us to use our hamstrings, our glutes, what we call a posterior chain, a lot more, so that it takes a little bit of pressure off the quads, which are already strong, and a little pressure off the knees, which a lot of us have problems with. So if we're using the box, the key is we're going to set it up on a corner. We're going to set that same stance we talked about. We're still thinking about our pinky, our big toe, and our heel toe staying consistent. Then I want you to place your hands right here at your hips, and I want you to imagine your hips are pulling you down towards that box. When we get to the box, we didn't lose any tension in the feet, so we still have those 3 points of contact, and we're not fully relaxing when we come down here for our knees to wobble. We're going to hold our position and come right back up from there. So you are going to sit, but you're not going to relax the body. You're going to keep that constant tension, so protect your position and get those hamstrings, glutes to wake up a little bit more, okay? That's what I want to see when we're working on the box. All right, so lesson number 3 of the squat. At this point, you should understand and kind of start feeling when your feet are consistent and stable. Maybe you're using a box, maybe you're not, okay? But now it's going to be about, as we start increasing the intensity and adding weights and load to this, is how do we get more out of the movement and we build up a little bit more intensity in it. So I'm going to use the box to demonstrate, but again, without the box, it would be the same pieces. As a quick review, number 1 rule was pinky toe, big toe, and that heel. Those are going to remain stable the entire time, okay? Step number 2 we talked about was getting our hips to lead the motion, okay? So now today the focus is going to be a little bit more on the upper half of the body and how we're going to get power coming up. So we're going to talk about bracing the core, and then we're going to talk about spreading the floor. Those are going to be our 2 pieces to really make this a strong squat. When we talk about bracing the core, what that means is, right, everybody's body has the ability to do this stuff, but if we're getting power from the legs and we're holding the weight up here, any movement we have here is what's going to resort to that back pain and throw off our movement. So we want to learn how to stabilize all of this in here. So everything from your head down through to your hip is going to stay a straight line through the entire motion of our squat. The way we're going to practice this is really pretty simple in the beginning. We're going to stay up nice and tall. We're going to take a big breath in, and then when we exhale, what you'll see is you'll feel your abs turn on a little bit, and you'll feel your ribs come down, okay? That is the position I want to try to hold. So even though I'm talking now, I kept that down rib position, and that's going to be my active core position, right? So as I breathe, and as I continue to move, I'm going to keep that constant tension just like if you were holding a plank on the ground. That is what we mean by bracing the core. The heavier the weight is, the more tension we're going to have to put into it. But for now, let's just start to feel when it turns on, when it turns off, okay? So number one, we have our position set. Number two, we're going to take that breath and a big exhale. We're going to keep those ribs down and keep that little bit of tension. We're going to place those hands on the hips. We're going to pull down towards that box. And the last thing we're talking about is we come up and we drive our shoulders to the sky while maintaining that brace is going to be this idea of spreading the floor. Spreading the floor is the idea of if you're standing on two glaciers, right, and you're trying to break them apart. If you just stand where you are and you had those feet planted and you imagine trying to spread the carpet or move it out, in the beginning you might not feel it as much, but with practice you just start to feel the hips wake up a little bit more. Keeping the feet braced and getting this is what's going to help you really get power from your hips, from your legs, and allow you to not have the shaky knee syndrome, which is going to lead to the pain there. Okay? So, to run through all the points, we got our feet set and our 3 points of contact. We took our breath, boom. We have our core braced. We're moving through those hips, and as we drive those shoulders up, we spread the floor. Okay? Put all those pieces together, get better and better at it, and that's where you're going to build your squat.